I did not think this race was going to happen tonight, but the Bristol night race does indeed happen, and Lord have mercy, Martin Truex Jr., you have gotten away with it, my friend. You have gotten away with what I thought was going to be one of the biggest choke jobs I've ever seen in the first round of a playoff with the amount of playoff points that this man had, but he got away with it. Barely. And now he could be another championship favorite again, but I'm telling you, out of all the drivers I was watching tonight, I was watching that 19 car. Count yourself lucky, because that is listen, just count yourself lucky you're still in the playoffs and you have this format, because if this was any other, if this was not any other one, if this was the chase for the cup format, yeah, that's a wrap. Okay, like you wouldn't be recovering after these 3 races. So back to throw Truex back to the top of the standings with William Byron, and he gets to survive. But that was what I was looking at tonight in the Bristol night race, guys. It was an interesting race. The first 30 laps, I was worried. I'm being completely honest. The first 30 laps, I was worried. They put more PJ1 down onto the bottom lane, which makes the bottom lane the dominant lane, which I like. I will die on this hill. I always will prefer Bristol to be 1 lane dominant. That's just how I've grown up on Bristol. That's how I believe Bristol should be. However, this car is not compatible with that version of Bristol, unfortunately, and I learned that throughout the race, because before the race started, I would tell everyone, hey, get the bottom lane dominant and hope for the best, even though the car is not going to work. The first 30 laps of this race was very worrying when Christopher Bell was trying to get through basic lap traffic, and it was taking him ages to even try and do that before the top lane ever came in. So NASCAR seriously needs to work on this race car, because in all honesty, I thought tonight's race was one of the weaker Bristol night races. I've seen a lot of Bristol night races that have all really, most of the time, lived up to expectations, and right now this car, as the teams, like I've been saying in the last few weeks, as the teams find more downforce and they just keep tuning on the cars, they become worse and worse in terms of aero dependency, and especially the short tracks with the sequential gear shifters and the bigger tires and the faster corner speeds with not a lot of horsepower. It is just becoming unbearable, really. Now, luckily, and this is where I say luckily, because I just said, guys, I prefer bottom lane dominant, but with this race car, you do need multiple lanes. So luckily, the top lane comes in a little bit earlier than I thought people thought it would. It came in, I think, even before halfway. You could clearly see it working. Even maybe like around lap 100, lap 115, you could see it working. So it came in pretty early, and it kind of evened everything out. And I think it never became top dominant too much. It just became pretty even with both lanes. If you had a fast car, you could make passes because you weren't getting air dependent. But NASCAR have a lot of work to do, and unfortunately, it's gonna play a part because, guys, we have Charlotte Roval coming up, right? Listen, Texas is just a terrible racetrack. I don't care what this car can do at intermediate tracks. Texas is coming up, and Texas is a god-awful racetrack. Charlotte Roval, which is a road course, usually very entertaining, but with this car, not really. Martinsville is coming up, right? And Martinsville, usually we are always so excited for Martinsville, but as we have seen with this race car, even Martinsville cannot deliver a good race with this race car at short tracks. And then Phoenix, which is the final race of the season, again, it's going to be very similar to Richmond, to Martinsville, to Bristol, to all the other short tracks, basically. And I don't think we're going to see a great race because of how this race car is. So that is 3 races right there. No, 4 races. Maybe 3. Yeah, Texas. Yeah, okay, but 3 guaranteed road course and short track races coming up in the next 7 that I am definitely worried about. So, yeah, gotta deal with it. I thought tonight's race was okay. I thought it was okay. I mean, the end of the race, it was kind of not really, it didn't crescendo in anything. The points battles, the cutoff line didn't crescendo in everything, and that's just because of the situation it was. We'll talk about that. Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, all these guys very close to the cut line, and I think 2 of them had extremely poor races, and 1 in Bubba Wallace had kind of an average race for himself, but a critical pit road call to stay out, to gain stage 1 points. He stays out and ends up getting 8 points in stage 1, and that is what helps him get in to the playoffs. I thought that Martin Truex Jr. should do the same thing. Remember, there was, track position was going to be very important, even taking 2 tires, but Truex and his crew chief did not do that. They decided to take 4 tires and were not able to really get enough stage points. So they got a few, but in my opinion, they weren't able to get enough. Now, they still make it through, but I still thought they would have done something. Kevin Harvick's the big loser of today. Just a terrible run. I don't know how else to say it. He ended up finishing 5 laps down. It was just bad. The race car was awful. All of SHR. Let's go look at them. Chase Briscoe, 27th. Kevin Harvick in 29th. Then you have Eric Almirola in 18th. And where is Ryan Preece? There he is in 12th. So 12th, 18th, 27th, 29th. And when you need the one man in the playoffs to have a great race, that car was never dialed in for Kevin Harvick. He went a lap down early, then he went 2 laps down, and once you go 2 laps down, it just piles on from there, because you can't really, it's very, very difficult to get one of those laps back. And it's not just him. Ryan Blaney 2 laps down in 22nd. So let's go ahead and talk about Joey Logano. Now, Joey Logano was not really running that well, but he was doing all right. He got kind of messed up on some pit strategy sequences, but then this crash involving Corey LaJoie, who actually ran really well, again, stayed out and was leading the majority of the end of stage 1 before he got passed by Christopher Bell, and he ended up having a great finish in stage 1, but then he ends up wrecking, and it collects Joey Logano as he slides back up the track. Logano's left rear is completely, absolutely shot, and his playoff hopes are over by 4 points. I think the final total was 4 points to Bubba Wallace, so he just needed those 4 positions. But Austin Cindric as well got involved into a wreck early on. Ryan Blaney 2 laps down. It's been the story of the season for SHR and for Penske, which are both Ford teams. They have been just subpar. It has been like that all season. They deserve to be eliminated. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano deserve to be eliminated. Ryan Blaney, who I rate highly, needs to run better, but I don't really know how much he can do, because I'm looking at his teammates, and Ryan Blaney, out of the 3, runs the best. So if you're running the best in your organization, how much more can I ask of you? You're running the best. It's what you got. It's the equipment that you have. And when it comes to SHR, for years now, for multiple years, which is crazy to say, because when you think of SHR, you think of the dominance that Kevin Harvick had in that 4 car for 5-6 years there in that stretch of time. And to see them just struggle so much in the last 2 to 3 years is embarrassing. So Ford really need to get it figured out, because right now there is a new top dog in the Ford camp, and that is RFK. I've seen enough of it. Again, both of them finish in the top 10 today. Both of them, you can legitimately say, could have a very solid shout at the Final Four and possibly winning a championship. And with all due respect, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing should not be Ford's leadership group. The lead flagship team was never designed to be Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. But at this current moment, that is who they are relying on. Penske Racing, who won the championship last year, and Stewart-Haas Racing, a 4-car mega team since they've been formed. They need to seriously, I don't know what it is, man, but they gotta figure some things out, because I know for a fact Gene Haas and Tony Stewart must be really, really frustrated. And with the news that Zane Smith will now be at Trackhouse Racing in an affiliate, a complicated thing. Live Fast Motorsports sells their charter for $40 million to Spire Motorsports, and very complicated with all charters. I hate talking about charters. It really pisses me off. But essentially, Zane Smith will be running for a 3rd team for Spire Motorsports, who now have an affiliation with Trackhouse Racing, so they'll get equipment and work with Trackhouse Racing, so they should get a little bit better. And Zane Smith, who's been in a Ford, who I have always rated highly in the last few years. Out of all the drivers in the lower series, I've always looked at Zane Smith and said, that guy has talent. Seriously, he has talent. I said the same thing about Ty Gibbs, but Ty Gibbs everyone knew about, right? Zane Smith, I seriously believed in him, and now he has gone to Chevy, and so Ford loses another driver. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in that Ford camp, to be honest. I remember they lost Kyle Larson too. because Kyle Larson should have been with SHR and Tony Stewart. Now, he might have not been able to help them as much as, and won as much as he's in Hendrick. I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't talk. But before Kyle Larson went to Hendrick Motorsports, the opening was there for Tony Stewart to sign Kyle Larson to be obviously a match made in heaven, and the Ford executives said no. So, again, I don't know what's going on in that Ford camp. But other than Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, which is the prime jewel, the heart, and the smile of Ford Racing right now, they seriously need to get back to work. I was not expecting to talk about Ford so much in this video, But the race, again, wasn't that great, so it's kind of like, Christopher Bell won Stage 1 and Stage 2. If you guys caught my live stream the other day, I said Christopher Bell, in my opinion, is the most underrated driver in NASCAR at this current moment. I do not think people rate him as highly as I rate him. I rate him as top 5, arguably top 3 in terms of talent. I don't know if I could, off the top of my head, say top 3, but top 5, yes. I have Christopher Bell top 5 in terms of talent when it comes to behind driving a race car. So 3 straight poles, won both stages, ended up in 3rd today. So a great run for him, gets 2 playoff points, and yeah, really good for him. Kyle Larson, again, has shown now his old self. He kind of went through that summer slump that a lot of Hendrick guys usually go through, but these 3 races, tracks that have suited him as well. Darlington, Kansas, Bristol, all tracks that eventually get a high line rolling, so that has suited him as well. Next round should be a little bit more difficult. Texas, a track that is just bleh. Charlotte Roval, which is road course, which has never really suited Kyle Larson, and Talladega, which is super speedway racing, has never really suited Kyle Larson. So next round is going to be a little bit difficult for him, but if he can get through that, then I'm sure he could put up a fight for the round of 4. And then eventually the race winner, which was Denny Hamlin, who dominated the last half of that race, was always up there. And as Denny Hamlin usually does, he's now heading into the moment of the season where it's like, okay, can you win a championship? So I think he now is 51 career wins, an incredible career, but he does not have the championship. He's taken up that a villain role, which I appreciate. He's playing that character. Can you win the championship? I've seen him make the Final Four. I expect him to make the Final Four. I would not be surprised if Denny Hamlin makes the Final Four. But the point is, you got to win a championship. Now, again, I'm not going to blame him too much because the Final Four is 25% chance. Grab your dart, throw it to the dartboard. Hopefully you win a championship. Let's go to the race results. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Bell, Buescher, Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs with a very, very good run. His strongest. I feel like I've said this a few times recently, but every time I talk about Ty Gibbs, he gets a lot of hate. I get it. I get it because of how he raced in the Xfinity Series, and some of the things he says, and the personality seems off, right? Like, just when you interview him, it just doesn't seem real. It's like you can't find a real person in there because he's programmed to say certain things, or just it feels a little bit weird, essentially. And he looks like a kid, right? But he's growing a beard, but the continuous hate that I see on Ty Gibbs is, to me, always over the top. I think this guy, in his rookie season, he's had one of the best rookie seasons that I can remember in modern NASCAR. There have been obviously better rookie seasons. He hasn't won a race, right? I'm not saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but to walk into basically Kyle Busch's ride and do what he's done this season, I know he didn't make the playoffs, I get it, but he has ran really well for a rookie, and to do what he did tonight, again, this guy has so much talent. I don't understand the hate. I think it's just the Joe Gibbs thing, genuinely. Like, we all know Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't have the biggest fan base because of however Joe Gibbs runs his organization. It just doesn't, correlate with fans. Maybe it's a Toyota thing. People don't like Toyota. They want America. Listen, I drive a Toyota. I don't really know what the deal is, but I just don't understand the hate on Ty Gibbs. I think tonight was really, really well done. Michael McDowell, I discredited him last week. He did a good run, but he essentially had to win. He didn't win. But good run for Michael McDowell. Good job making the playoffs. And, again, good job to him. But I never really saw him making it through the round of 12. Chase Elliott in 7th. Kind of anonymous all race again for Chase Elliott. Yeah, as the sooner this season ends for him, the better. He's still in contention for the Owners' Championship, I think, but it's just not the same. Elliott should be doing what Larson's doing, and he's just not. So, It is what it is. Brad Keselowski with another great run. P8. William Byron just coasting through. He's already advanced. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he was like 10 points behind, could he do something? Could he not? But again, kind of like Michael McDowell, I just never was thinking about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in terms of making the next round. But he does finish in the top 10, so good run from him. 11th place, Carson Hocevar. I still don't know if I pronounced his last name right. I've heard a lot about this kid in the truck series. Now, as you guys know, I often don't watch the truck series just because I am doing other things on Friday or Thursday night or whatever. I'm just usually not watching truck racing. But I have heard of this kid. Out of all the truck drivers, everyone that's in the truck series, this is the one I've heard about. And I have kept a little bit of a closer eye on him in the last few weeks, also in the truck series as well. But what he is doing in the Cup series is extremely, extremely impressive. Now, I don't think he is going to, have a full-time ride in the Cup series or anything like that anytime soon. But what he's doing right now is very, very impressive. He's kind of competing more on par, and even, Eric Jones was 24 today, but even in the few starts he's had, Carson has been running better or running equal to what Eric Jones was doing. Obviously, Noah Gragson got suspended. He's coming back now. I don't want to discredit Noah Gragson. I've said before, just my personal opinion, nothing on the guy. I don't rate Noah Gragson as a race car driver in terms of making it to the top level. That's just my opinion. I know he won a lot of races in the Xfinity Series, but off of talent, off of the eye test, I've been watching the sport my whole life. I just have never really rated Noah Gragson. And this is not a shot against him, but for Carson to come into that ride and do better than anything Gragson has done this season, and by a substantial amount. I'm not talking by a little bit. I'm talking by a substantial amount. Again, it just kind of proves that what I've been seeing and what I think you guys have been seeing as well is that this kid has a hell of a lot of talent. So, yeah. I don't want to rush him into the Cup Series, to be honest. But if he could just, stay humble, keep working on his craft, keep trying to just get better, I think that guy has a massive future ahead of him. It's just kind of like, where would you go? You know what I mean? Like, what ride would open up for you, both in Xfinity and in trucks and in Cup? What's the best path for you? It's not as simple as someone that's been raised in like a Hendrick Motorsports program, like a William Byron or Chase Elliott, or even like Ty Gibbs in the Joe Gibbs program. It's not as simple as that, So for him, it's more about trying to maneuver his way into a solid ride. Listen, I just talked about Ford losing drivers. What if in sometime in the near future, Roush Fenway, Keselowski Racing, RFK get a third team? Maybe Carson goes there. Again, I'm just talking about stuff, but the path for him is there. But again, great run for him. Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick. Bubba Wallace makes the next round, by the way. And so, again, good job for Bubba Wallace, just making it through by 4 points. Martin Truex Jr. in 19th, Kyle Busch in 20th. They both had, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Kevin Harvick, all had bad nights, but it's okay. It is okay. For guys like Chastain, for Blaney, for Kyle Busch, we said, just don't DNF. You'll be fine. They're fine. Martin Truex Jr. was the real worry. He makes it because of Harvick and Logano having terrible days. Specifically, Logano having that incident is, one of the reasons why Truex made it. Because if Logano doesn't have that incident, Truex and Bubba Wallace are basically fighting between 1 and 2 points. And that's kind of how we thought it was going to happen coming into this race. Was Bubba Wallace versus Martin Truex Jr., how would it go? But Harvick and Logano having those terrible days allows Truex to have another terrible day and avoid the massive choke that I thought he would have. I don't have the points in front of me right now, but the playoff points should be quite similar. You'll have Truex and Byron. Larson's up there. Buscher's up there. Now Denny Hamlin, with also this win, is getting up there as well in terms of playoff points. And then everyone else is going to have to see how it goes. This next round, as you guys know, is always chaotic. Texas is meh, whatever. I just get Texas out of the way. When you get to the Roval and you get to Talladega, obviously, those two are the ones that are very, very insane. Or is the Roval in the other round? I keep thinking the Roval's in round 2. Is the Roval in round 3? Because I feel like Las Vegas might be... No, it has to be the Roval. It has to be, right? Yeah, I was right. I don't know. Las Vegas is Las Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville. Yeah, I don't know why I kept thinking Roval was not in the second round for a second. I don't know. Anyways, that's going to be it for me, guys. I don't want to make this too long because it is what's night Saturday night. So enjoy your Sunday. I will be watching football and football, both of them, at night and in the morning. Vamos Arsenal and Vamos Tua. So I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. We will upload tomorrow as well. So take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Follow me on Twitter if you're not already. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know what you think in the comments down below of the Bristol night race. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Just out of the Bristol night race, I want that more of that drama. And I feel like in the points battle and in the on-track racing, just didn't deliver. But it's not the track's fault. It is just how this car is. And there's nothing you can really do about it. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.